guys, thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Kiwi Cop Stories. I trust you'll enjoy it.
This case is one that happened a few years ago when I was in CIB, and I was at that stage based on house burglaries squad. I was at the office one day when a young constable turned up with a person that he'd found in a house and thought that he'd committed a burglary. So I listened to the constable and I spoke to the chap that he had with him. For this purpose, we'll call him this guy Barry. When asked for an explanation, Barry said that he had been at a party the night before. He had got talking to a girl who was a nurse at the hospital. Her name was Sue, and she had invited him to come round to her place the next day and to pick up some LP records. LP records are discs that you played music from before we had CDs and all those sorts of things. I asked this guy, is that your explanation? He said, yes. He said, I came around there today and I was looking for Sue, and she said the key would be in the letterbox and just help myself to go in the house and I could take any LPs and borrow them that I liked. Well, I was a little bit sceptical, of course, but that was his explanation and he wouldn't budge from that. Anyway, the young constable left and I said to this guy, well, I'm arresting you for burglary and we'll process you down there in the cells and you were going to court. He seemed fairly confident, but he was sticking to his story. So I thought, all right, well, that's his explanation, but I don't accept it because it's just too coincidental. And he didn't know anything else about Sue and all these sorts of things. As I walked Barry, the prisoner, into the cell block, a young constable there said to me, oh, hello, and used this guy's name. And I said, wow, did you know this guy? He said, yeah. I said, how do you know him? He said, oh, about 6 months ago, I arrested him for burglary. He said he was looking for a girl named Sue, a nurse. And I said, oh, well, that's what he's told me. So immediately I thought that this is a good example, a good case of what is called similar fact evidence, which is an exclusion under the Evidence Act, where you can give evidence of where an offender has used the same excuse or explanation or same types of situations. By this stage, Barry was looking, because he recognised the constable, but he was obviously confident in this explanation. So I said to the constable, well, what happened with your court case then? He said, oh, he got off. The judge believed that he was genuinely looking for this girl named Sue and to pick up LP records. And I said, well, that just matches exactly what we've got here. And I thought straight away, this is similar fact evidence. And I sort of rubbed my hands. I said, this is good. I'm going to get this guy. So Barry was processed and he then elected to have trial by jury because burglary is an offence that can be heard either in the district court or you can elect to put it up to the High Court or the Supreme Court in those days, where a judge can actually give a heavier sentence if he decides that it needs it. So Barry, being confident, elected trial by jury, which was sent to the Supreme Court. So he was obviously believing that the jury would be sympathetic towards him and would believe that here he is, an innocent man type of thing. What they didn't know, of course, when we got to court later on, was he had a list as long as 2 arms. I mean, he was a well-known burglar, but not at that stage known to me. So we went to the Supreme Court. We all gave our evidence, and of course Barry didn't give any evidence because he relied on me to give his explanation to the court that he was looking for this person, this girl named Sue, who's a nurse, and she lived in blah 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 and all these sorts of things. We gave our evidence, and then of course the jury retired to hear the verdict and decide on the verdict. And they spent 20 minutes or half an hour before they came back in with the verdict of guilty. Poor Barry standing there looking very forlorn and woe-begone because the judge then gave him 4 years imprisonment, which is a heavy sentence for burglary.
For one burglary.
For one burglary. The offence of burglary can carry an imprisonment up to 10 years, but it's very rare that anyone actually gets anything like 4 years, let alone 10 years. So poor old Barry, he won't be using that explanation again.
He should have thought of something different.
He'll have to come up with something better than that.
Now, it's a pity there aren't more burglars out there like Barry. Thanks for watching. Please like the video and we'll see you next week.